All right, good morning. Good morning here. Gonna do a quick audio test here. All right, audio seems good. How's everybody doing this morning? Just gonna kind of go over what we're looking at today. I already got the gaps marked out on the chart here. I have a small gap to the upside, pretty much down to 91. Not a huge gap. Yes, got about a 5 or 6 handle gap to the upside there. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Got about 2 minutes here before the market opens. Took a small scalp trade this morning for $80. Well, two as you can see. One here, 85, and then this got long here just for kind of a break-even trade. It started pulling back, so I just got out break-even. But let's go ahead and see what happens here at open. Already starting to move down here on the ES this morning. But about 20 seconds here for the market to open. If we start to break through the 20 SMA here, we may take a short just down to the 990 level. So let's see what happens here at the open. Kind of pushing up here. Just going to be patient this morning, see what we get. Little volatility here at open. Let's take a look at the ES, see what it's doing. It's still holding that 20 SMA as well. Might move back up here to the high of day. Got that liquidity resting there at 44.75. First, I would think that it would try to fill that gap first before we make any kind of a move. Like I said, it's not a huge gap to the downside by any means, but it is there. These gaps like to get filled. It's kind of the simplest, one of the simplest opening strategies that you can use here. Go ahead and adjust my stop. Always move it to 200, so I may as well put it at 200. Just kind of getting some choppy action, no real direction so far, first thing. Kind of got this breakout earlier this morning. You could see, move down and then kind of broke out back to the upside. That was my idea on this trade entry down here. Should have held it longer, but pre-market kind of had me spooked. Doesn't always do what you think it's going to do. Dog's barking. Not much we can do about it. He said he's his own boss and he's going to bark if he wants to. So we just let it happen. Let's see here. Well, trying to move up here. I mean, if we break through the highs at 37, we could try to take a scalp move up through the 40s, maybe to the 50s, but not quite sure that's what I want to do. With that gap kind of down to the downside, but something we might consider doing here. Let's see. All right, let's take it. Just gonna look for like 48.50 area, somewhere in there. I'm gonna go ahead and move my stop to break even. I stopped out there for $40. If you can see. It did clear out the high a day. I kind of thought it might touch 50. We were looking for 48 area, 48.50, and it stopped at 47. So now it might go and try to fill this gap since it swept that topside liquidity first. Or it could just continue higher. Let's kind of see what happens here. Probably should just took what it gave me. And it gave me about, I don't know, $150 or something like that. Probably should just locked it in. But if you do that, then it would just continue higher. So I'm okay with the $40. If we break through the 20 SMA here and start moving down, then we will probably take a short. Let's see here. Could potentially try a wick test trade here, but I don't think I'm going to. Typically, we'll kind of trade back up into this wick, but let's just be patient. Try to be patient if we can. Moving back to the high of day here. Yes, it's just kind of hanging out. It's not pushing yet, but I imagine it probably will. Strangely enough, the dollar is kind of moving up. You typically want those to work in reverse of each other. So if the dollar is moving up, you think your indices would move down, the ES and the Nasdaq, but as you can see, they're all moving up together, which is a bit odd. So we did get that push through there. Like I said, we could have taken this trade again, but We'll be a little bit patient if we can. It is Friday after all. Fridays sometimes can be a little bit tricky. Let's see what the ES has going on here. ES is not yet pushed up to the high of day. Could kind of take a long here on the ES for the move to the high of day. Let's consider that. Let's see here. Nasdaq still pushing. I mean, you'd think it'd bring the ES with it here. All right, we'll try to click along on the ES here, just kind of see if we can get back up to the high of day in that area. Risking, probably going to move my stop pretty quick here to the break-even area as soon as we get a little distance, maybe 50 bucks. We're risking 3 handles here, $150. Nasdaq is still pushing higher, so you would think it would take the ES with it. All right, going to move my stop to break even, $25. See if we can't get this pushed through here. Going to move it up a little bit, lock in a little bit. Move it up a little more. Just trying to get this pushed through, but don't want it to come back on me.
Order filled.
And there we are. Nice little $162 trade there on the ES. It's not showing my entries on the ES. Let's see. Show fills. There we go. Need to put lines. There we are. So we made $162 on that push up through high a day. This is kind of the Six Sister concept from ICP. So basically, like I said, these indices, the Nasdaq and the ES should kind of move together most of the time. So if you see the Nasdaq moving up, making new highs, then generally speaking, it will kind of bring the ES with it. So that was kind of the idea for that trade there. So just a quick little 3 handles, $162. Now we're up $274. Goal for the day is only $300, so we're right here at the goal. Let's see here. Now we can kind of just be patient. Oh. Where's this? I'm trying to find my... Losing my charts over here. Okay. So there you see, making 274 there in about 13 minutes. Nothing special or difficult about those trades. And as you can see, the ES is just pumping still. So is the Nasdaq. I mean, Nasdaq all the way up into the 70s. So I really could have probably held that trade longer. This trade here where I got stopped out, it came back and then just pumped up. You know, why didn't I hold this trade longer? Pretty simple. I mean, we were at the high of day, you know. You don't know that it's going to continue up. So, could have got more, but that's all right too. Not, you know, not going to complain. Let's see where the next pivot is. Looks like we broke through the pivot there at 71 on the Nasdaq and just continued higher. I get a little pullback here. Just had to tell my dog to be quiet. He's barking an awful lot, but not that he's going to listen to me, obviously. Sorry if that bothers any of you, him barking. It's not much I can do about it. Suppose I could put a muzzle on him, right? Nah, that'd be mean. We don't do that. All right. Come here. Come on. Oh. Here's the little barker. He's saying hello to the microphone. Tell him, hey. Say I like to bark. He's a long-haired Dotson, in case you didn't, you couldn't pick up on that. He's about 3 years old. All right, the market's just kind of moving up here, higher and higher. We're about to get this first 15-minute range. Still got the gap to the downside. What do we got? 15 seconds left on this first 15-minute candle. So we'll go ahead and draw out our 15-minute range. Obviously, it might move through the top side of the range pretty quickly here, since it is kind of up top, already up there. We'll kind of be careful with the range moving up there. Let's go ahead and switch over to the ES. Mark out the range on the ES here. Oh. Well, we'll move that over. So like I said, I mean, you can use this 15-minute range. We are kind of pretty close to the top of the range already, so. Pretty close to the top of the range already at this point. So, you know, it's kind of 50-50 if I take it. I don't know. If we break out to the upside. Seems like we want that 14,100 level, though, to be honest. It's only 10 points. You usually get an overshoot, though, so you could take the breakout trade 90.91 up to about 14,105. That would be a possibility. Got a pretty big breakout on the ES this morning, all the way up to 87. See if we can pull back into this 75 area, maybe kind of turn that into support. Yesterday, for most of the day, we just bounced around in the 15-minute range on the ES. We finally broke out of it, I think, late afternoon. But possibly going to move up to 42.40 today on the ES, looks like. That'd be a pretty big move. Like I said, I'm $25, $26 away from my target, so I'm not gonna be too aggressive this morning. Gonna be pretty passive. This next trade's gonna have to be, nothing's a sure thing, obviously, but kind of breaking out of that range on the Nasdaq here. Got that whole number resistance up there. ES still kind of hanging out in the range. Really would like an ES pullback to about that 41.75 level. That's the area that's of interest to me on the ES. Nasdaq, I really would like a nice pullback as well, maybe into the 60 range before it moves higher. Don't know that we'll get it though. I think the Nasdaq is just kind of going to the moon here. Don't want to be buying up here at the top. I mean, this is the breakout range, but even with that being said, got to be careful. Again, the ES not really going anywhere. Dollar kind of holding its level, pulling back a little bit, but not much. Need this candle to print above this range, and we could potentially take a long here. I really like the ES to kind of start moving out of this range as well, moving on up. Don't really want to take the breakout trade on the Nasdaq as long as the ES is kind of struggling to go with it. There's the overshoot of the 4100 level, probably going to test the 4105, 4110 level on the Nasdaq here. Usually get a bit of an overshoot before you get a little pullback. There's 06. See if this is taking the ES with it. It's not. I'm switching back and forth on the stream here, guys. I am watching these on other charts. I'm just switching back and forth so you guys can kind of see what's going on with them. But I do have these pulled up on other charts on my screens here. Little pullback to the 82 level so far on the ES here. That kind of scares me on the Nasdaq because we are pulling back on the ES. So, like I said, I'd like to see a pullback into this 75 area. See the 75 area turn into support. And then we can get long to kind of ride this up higher. You could always put kind of a trend line like that on there. Let's see what the NAS is doing. NAS is still trying to break out here, move higher. So get this break of this trend line, we probably can go ahead and take a trade on the ES. Like I said, just kind of that six sister approach again. Dollar is moving up. Dollar's making a new high here on the day. It's kind of A little scary. Nasdaq went all the way up to 14,118, kind of making a little bit of a pullback here. Like I said, I could have taken this breakout trade on the Nasdaq. I'm just a little spooked by the fact that the ES isn't making the same move and the dollar's moving up. So, you know, for those reasons, no reason to do anything crazy. Certainly, if the Nasdaq keeps pumping here, you're eventually going to get the ES to move out of this range and continue higher. I didn't even check to see if we have any news today at 10 a.m. I don't think we do, but let me just take a quick double check and see. No. Not very much news. Let's see. Hold on. Am I on the right day? No, I guess we do have some. Let's make sure I'm on the right day here. We had news at 8:30, obviously. 10 a.m. Yeah, we got Michigan consumer expectations. So we do have some news here at 10 a.m. in about 5 minutes. So let's see what we got. What happens here? Nasdaq trying to go make a new high. ES trying to finally break out here. Nasdaq made a new high. ES really trying to follow here.
Order filled.
We're going to go ahead and take a long on the ES, but just with kind of short profits in mind here, seeing that that's all we need for the day to get to our goal. We're risking 3 handles, which is $150. Try to get this move back through high a day here if we can. Nasdaq's still pushing here, so would think the ES would go with it here. Still moving higher with the NAS. ES kind of pulling back. Need it to go here if it's going to go. I just realized I had my stop at 2 handles instead of 3. Needed to move it down some there. Nasdaq still going, but ES is not. It's just pulling back on us. See if we can be a little patient with it here. See if we can get this move through. I'm going to move my stop to break even here pretty quickly. Don't want to, if I'm able to, don't want to give anything back, really. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. It's kind of breaking my rule because I'm not trusting the trade, but I just don't like how it's not moving quick enough for me there. So we lost, I don't know, about $40 on that trade, $37.50 plus the commission takes us down to $232. And I mean, it'll probably work out. I just, I don't know, just didn't trust it. Just not going at the speed that I want it to go at, and sometimes, sometimes that's the case. We do have that news coming out in a minute and a half as well. I was thinking we'd get that move right through high a day there since Nasdaq was just kind of pumping up, but it just didn't happen. It just didn't go that quick. I mean, you can see the Nasdaq just blasted right through there. This is also my patience when I'm in trades is kind of not where it needs to be. So this is also why I like trading the Nasdaq a little better than the ES, because it typically moves faster. So you're either going to win or lose a lot faster. And that works for me. Because as you can see on the ES, I don't know, it just moves too slow. Starting to get a little pullback here on the Nasdaq. Let's see what the ES is doing. Yeah, so it never really made it above my entry. I mean, I think we might have been up $12 at one point, but there is a fair value gap here, obviously, as you can see. So really, stop would have had to be down here at the 74.75 area, which probably is okay. But for what I was willing to risk on that trade from the 85s, I didn't want to have a 10-handle stop. ES, I like to risk 3 to 5 handles. Nasdaq 10 handles is kind of where I like to put it at. So still at $232, so we kind of saved a little bit of our profits there. This probably will still go, I mean, I'd imagine, but you know, like I said, just trying to play a little breakout trade here. There's 10 o'clock news. Get a little volatility here. Nasdaq hanging out at the top at the high day here, just pushing through a little. Might take the ES with it, and we may re-enter the same trade. All right, ES is finally breaking out of that trend there. That's what we were looking for a minute ago on the ES. All right, we're going to take the breakout trade here on the ES. Just going to look for enough to get us over our daily goal if we can.
Stop filled.
And stopped out there, unfortunately, for $100. Trying to take that breakout trade there and just didn't work. Probably had my stop a little too tight there. Let's switch back over to the Nasdaq. I don't know why, but I like the Nasdaq better. It's just obviously that's my own fault there. I entered that trade looking for the breakout. Kind of got the breakout I was looking for, but didn't want to put my stop where it needed to be. Stop really needed to be down here. So this first entry would have been valid. Would have been long from 85 and got the move up to 90, but that's all right. Gonna look for this breakout move on the Nasdaq here. And a little pullback here on the Nasdaq and the ES. Probably gonna get this push up to 150 on the Nasdaq.
Order filled.
Take an entry here, looking for this push into this 150 area. Break through that 44, 45 level. I don't see how we don't go to the 150 here. Let me widen this out so you guys see it a little better. I might widen my stop on this trade just a little bit if I need to. But hopefully we just get this push on through here. Like I said, I think if we break through the 45, we go to the 50 pretty quickly here. But may need to move the stop down some, risk a little more. Yeah. So we'll risk a little bit more on this trade, trying to get this move up. Dollar's moving down. ES is still trying to move up, so ES moving towards a high a day here. Something must be going on. We're getting some weird price action here. Alright, might get stopped out here. ES is pushing back up again. The ES makes a new high a day here. I don't see how the NAS doesn't go with it, but ES approaching the high a day, just needs it to push through there. Just need some more volume. Might get stopped out here. It looks like it's kind of pulling back, teasing our stop a little bit. All right, ES is about to make a new high. Need it to just blast right through there so it can kind of take the Nasdaq with it. Haven't quite got through there yet. It's trying. I'm going to go ahead and move my stop up here. I don't want to risk any more than I really have to. If this comes back down and makes kind of a new swing low here, then we don't want to be involved there at that point. All right, stops at break even here. See if we can get this move through here. There.
Order filled.
Just like that. Boom. All right, $245 on that trade. A little bit of a risky trade there. I should have been buying the breakout here on the Nas. I'm much more comfortable in the Nasdaq. I don't even know why I was trading the ES there. You can see the ES finally broke through and made a high a day, and it took the Nas with it. So the idea here on the ES was right. I just did not put my stop where it needed to be. And this is kind of a lesson in just putting your stop where it needs to be. If I'm entering here, stop needs to be below this fair value gap entry, which I entered too soon. But let me just go ahead and draw this out for anyone who may not be aware of what I'm talking about. So this is a bullish fair value gap, and we're gonna notate the bullish fair value gap in green. Green right there. So with this premise, this idea, you want it to trade back into the gap, which it did here several times. It held the gap, respected it. I got long outside of the gap, which is kind of against the rules there. You're not really supposed to do that. But if you're taking this trade, your stop needs to be at the bottom of the gap. So had I entered here and put my stop where it needed to be, we would have had a nice winner, you know. From 85 to 93. And, of course, this is in hindsight. So, you know, call it what it is. You know, didn't do it in real time. You can see the Nasdaq never really offered an entry on any of these fair value gaps. No entry. You could probably go down to a lower time frame and find an entry, but that's typically what you would do. But we got in here, we held in through a little bit of drawdown, around $200, maybe a little less than that. Then we finally got that blast through there once the ES made a new high. So the Nasdaq was leading the way all morning, and then the ES kind of took charge there on that trade. So this is also kind of a lesson in, you know, don't trade your P&L. I was already up $274. Really no reason to take any more trades at that point. Should have just walked away that close to my profit target already. So, but now we're at 376, and daily goal is going to be $300. So no real reason to push it any further. It is Friday. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the stream right there. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button. subscribe if you haven't. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. And we will be back live possibly this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Most likely not. Most likely we'll just go ahead and take the 3-day weekend and see you guys live on Tuesday morning.